So what? Hello and welcome to Life Astrologer with me, Anna Isabel. I'm a psychological astrologer, and today I have the pleasure of having Julia Hollenbery with me. Welcome, Julia.
Hello.
And Julia, your book is called The Healing Power of Pleasure, and I can see it right behind you. The Healing Power of Pleasure. And well, I thought that was an irresistible title. So I then thought, well, what chart would drive somebody to write a book with this this title? And of course, the first word that's really important is healing, because you're a healer. And lo and behold, and regular viewers of this channel may already guess what's coming here. And that is 4 planets, all in the 12th house, the house we associate with mysticism and healing. So that's you, isn't it? Tell us.
You've just outed me, I kind of feel like. I mean, the book has outed me, right? But for so much of my life, it's been a secret, right? Because most people don't speak those languages or don't understand those realms. So yeah, you've blown my cover, which is totally fine.
Interesting you were saying about secret, because the 12th house is a house where things are hidden. So, I mean, there are 2 houses really, which we can say hold secrets or things that are hidden. In fact, I can add 3. So the water houses, let's say, the 12th, the 8th, and the 4th are all about what's inside us. But there are 2 which actively hold secrets, the 8th and the 12th. So the 8th house is secrets because it's about taboos. The 12th house, which is the house that we're talking about in relation to you, is it's what's hidden, what's yet to be seen. And very often people with the sun in the 12th do feel quite invisible for a lot of their lives, or they're hiding themselves, so to speak. Does that make sense?
Very much so. Of course, it's very touching to hear your reflections. Yes, I couldn't speak up for an awfully long time because that felt exceptionally risky to not be accepted. So it was better to stay silent and stay invisible until there absolutely was no choice and something came through.
Well, see, there's a couple of things here that are relevant. And one of the things you were talking about was, the fear of speaking out, because of course that means you're then seen, and that's your Mercury in the 12th, wanting to be very, Mercury is about communication. So, and you specifically said not to speak, because if you speak, then people will see you. So it's that combination of things that's there. And in fact, this idea of speaking being something you want to be careful about. You've got the Sun and Venus and Mars all in Gemini, which is Mercury's own sign. And if there's one thing that Gemini is known for, it's talking. It's very, very chatty, and it's all about the dissemination of information. So it's almost like you have this real need to communicate, but when you open your mouth, nothing comes out. It's like the voice is being held back. Does that?
I'd say it was.
Yeah.
All my life, I knew that I would write a book, and all my life, and that it would go out widely. And all my life, I knew that it was my job, my sole job, to deliver a message. And I hesitate saying such things in case they sound pretentious, but I've had to stay exceptionally true to my internal sense. And I think that when I was younger, I also, like really young, I used to chat 10 to the dozen in order to hide in order that nobody could see the real me. And then there were different phases where I would be more withdrawn because there was an awful lot of holding back. And now, absolutely, it feels like in alignment. It is my task to, and it's my delight to, even though my first language is non-verbal. Actually, I love language. And it matters to deliver this positive, uplifting message.
Indeed, it does matter, and it is important. I was just thinking about how your midheaven is in Pisces, and the midheaven speaks of vocation, and we're back to the 12th house stuff of healing and energy and all of those mystical things that are unseen. So it's very important. I wonder about your upbringing in a sense, because you have Cancer rising. So this is very much a female energy around you when you're a child. Excuse me. But on the other hand, then the moon, which rules mother and family, is in the sign of Virgo, which is very practical. So I wonder whether it was a kind of practical approach to raising a child that you experienced.
My mum was the Virgo, and my dad was a Sagittarius, and I think it's actually there in my chart. And because I lived in the invisible world for 35 years, and because I couldn't speak of it back then, I was quite afraid of the practical, earthy, do it now Virgo-ness, right? It felt almost terrifying to me. And again, in my book, I write a lot about the invisible world and the material world, because maturity, of course, is the coming together of both those things. And for each of us, that takes a slightly different path.
Indeed, it does. So now here's the interesting thing, is that everything in this chart speaks of healing. So it's the 12th house being packed, it's the midheaven in Pisces, and it's also Virgo. And of course, you've got the moon very close to Pluto, which is in itself close to Uranus, all in Virgo. So there's I don't think you could do anything other than heal. So with Pisces, the healing could be psychological, it could be energy healing, it could be nursing, it could be any one of those things. Virgo wants it to be physical as well. And so I know that you also have done some body work, is that right?
Absolutely. My mum was a body worker and I'm a body worker. Again, primary language, body, non-verbal. And I'm passionate, absolutely passionate about the life of the body. Very touching to hear your words, really. Lovely.
How lovely. Tell us a little bit about how you work with the body.
Lots of ways, actually, meaning to say that dialogue can be energy work, and energy work can be body work. So it's not only the hands directly on the body that has an effect on the physical body of other people. It's also the clarification that happens in dialogue, or the really being met that enables something to open and release. And sometimes it is absolutely touching the right place that enables a symptom or a pattern to melt and dissolve. So I work with different methodologies, different trainings called the Grunberg method of body work and biodynamic craniosacral therapy, and I bring in some tantric techniques and some constellation techniques, which is yet another different way of working with the body.
So when you're talking about constellation techniques, are you talking about ancestry work as well?
Also, but it can be used in you obviously know about it in many different ways.
So this is a another aspect which is important here, because Cancer is also about family, and so you're working with family dynamics as well. Even if you're just working through the one person, if you're doing generational work, then it's also about family dynamics, isn't it?
I would say that my work is, but indirectly.
Exactly. Yeah.
The main focus for me is bringing people into fully inhabiting their bodies, fully inhabiting the bodies on the earth, so that they can really enjoy all the richness of this life. And as we know, as I can tell that you know from this conversation, truthfulness and alignment and clarity and tenderness are all, and other things too, are all pathways to that.
Indeed. And there is, I'm just going to throw something else. Well, I'm going to say two things. Oh, three things.
So as many as you like.
Why not? They've all just jumped out at me at once. Right. So, okay. The first thing is to help you to find your voice, and a strong voice at that, would be Jupiter in the third house. So this is about having the confidence to come out and write. So it's adding the, sorry, I'm just checking something else. So yes, it's absolutely right. It's there saying, hey, I've got something to say. Here it comes. And out it comes, just like that. Okay. So that's Jupiter in the third house, and it's joyous. Its communication is joyous because it's in Leo. It's about exuberance and love and passion. It's all of those things. And so here we have a book called The Healing Power of Pleasure. And so that's very much Jupiter in the third. But then there is something else. Neptune is sitting in the fifth, which is all about creativity. And Neptune is the planet that we associate with Pisces, and also the 12th house as well. So it's all of those healing themes. And the fifth house is not just the house of creativity. I also call it the house of fun. And here we are, The Healing Power of Pleasure. It's the title of your book, these two planets, they're sitting there.
That's super cool.
Yeah, it's like you had one on each shoulder going, hey, let's talk about having a good time and how important that is and how we do that. So then the other thing you talked about was truth. Now, having spent so much of your time hiding, in order to speak, as you put it, in alignment, which means authenticity and being true to yourself. And you said the reason you were hiding is because, let's just say, the message does not always find a welcome in our world. In order to come out of your shell, you needed courage. You needed courage in order to be honest about who you are. And you needed to be honest about who you are if you were going to fulfill your mission. So here we have Saturn in Aries, the sign that is to do with courage, that is to do with standing up for yourself, for integrity. And Saturn says, this is what I am afraid of. I'm afraid of doing exactly that. So I'm going to have to face my fear. And I'm going to have to work really hard at becoming brave so that I can stand up straight and with self-respect and say, this is who I am. And the nice thing is that in your chart, Saturn and Jupiter are working together. So there's Jupiter going, yeah, you can do this. You can do this. And Saturn's going, I don't know. it looks pretty hostile out there. And Jupiter's going, yeah, you can do this. You can do this. And Saturn's going, okay, I'm going to work hard at this now. And Jupiter's going, yeah, you can do this. You can do this. Come on. And off you go. And that's how it builds and builds and builds. And by the way, you had no choice. You had no choice because Saturn generally doesn't give us a choice anyway. But you also have the North Node very close to Saturn in Aries. And the North Node is, let's say it's one of the main indicators of our purpose, the path that we're meant to take. And here in this life, for you, it's about finding the courage to be yourself. And I might just add, they're sitting in the 11th house, which is very much a house to do with groups and society. So here's the bonus. In finding that courage to be yourself, you get to find other people who are like you. And then it's not such a hostile world anymore. Does that make sense now to you?
I'm very touched by what you've shared. My life has been a journey of finding my voice. Absolutely, you can hear the depth. This is what I call my real voice. And yes, I've written a book, and yes, here I am on podcast speaking, and it's great fun. And every time it takes me tremendous amounts of courage to go forward. And it is to share what my heart knows and wants to share. And it is in service. I hope it is of help.
Yes. And so for that, I am truly thankful because I am having the pleasure of reading your book and of sharing it with everyone. And so for that, I thank you, Julia. And I also thank you for joining us on Life Astrologer today.
Thanks for having me. And wow, what a treat. What a lovely psychological astrology you are. Lucky the clients who find their way to you.
Oh, well, I think I might just blush for in a moment. Now, if people would like to find you, how do they do that?
The book is available everywhere the books are sold. And my website is universeofdeliciousness.com, and I'm on social media.
I love that, Universe of Deliciousness. Oh, I do love it. I will be sure to put a link to your website as well as the book on the description box. So, thank you all for watching Life Astrologer today, and do please remember to subscribe. Until next time, goodbye.